Good evening, everyone. You can
Evening.
hear my voice. Please give me a high sign. Thank you, one and all. Welcome to the Board of Aldermen meeting. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, and welcome again to the Board of Aldermen meeting for the City of Town and Country, Monday, March 8th, 2021. The meeting's hereby called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Benegas.
Here.
Alderman Frouchy.
Here.
Alderman Holman.
Here.
Alderman Hughes.
Here.
Alderman Mortland.
Here.
Alderman Weezahan.
Here.
And Alderman Whitmire.
Here.
Mayor Dalton is presiding, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. The minutes from our meeting of February 22nd have been previously distributed to, and I'm certain reviewed by the board. I now entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Alderman Hughes, seconded by Alderman Mortland. Discussion. Seeing none, the minutes will stand approved as written and distributed. We are on the topic of hearing from citizens. This is anyone's opportunity to address the board on matters of interest or concern regarding the city of town and country. I advise that we have no email correspondence to enter for the record and no public comment that have indicated a desire to address the board. Madam Clerk, is that correct?
Yes, sir, and I'll note that for the record.
Thank you, ma'am. We have no public hearings this evening. We're now on the topic of appointments. 2 weeks ago, consistent with my regular practice of announcing to the board that I'm going to seek their support and affording everyone an opportunity to express opinions to me, I announced my desire to seek your support for the appointment of Lynn Wright, former alderman for many, many years, from Ward 1 to the Architectural Review Board. That's a board that I care deeply about. It was set up in one of my first acts as mayor back in 2005, and it put in the hands of a group of citizens the obligation to look deeply at projects that affect our neighborhoods. And I know that Alderman Wright, former Alderman Wright, has cared deeply about those circumstances, and I applaud her interest in continuing to serve the community. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Oh, and thank you, Alderman Benegas, for that. Consistent also with my standard practice, I discussed this matter with the chairman of that commission, longtime chairman, Alderman Benegas, and he supports the appointment. And it's seconded by Alderman Allen. The floor is open for discussion. Alderman Frouchy.
As discussed in our work session, I just want to remind my colleagues that we're in for a change in a month, and that holding off on this and continuing this for a month, no one is suggesting that that will in some way change the fact that everyone is working until the end of their term. It just means that there will be one additional meeting before that nomination moves forward. And, I think that with the feelings going on in our community right now and the discussion about who was here before and who's being brought back now by this board, I think that these issues should be considered long and hard. And I think that waiting a month would be very prudent.
Thank you. You and I did have a good discussion during our work session that I have been elected to a 4-year term, not a 3-year and 10-month term, and that I'm going to continue to discharge the duties of my office during that period of time. And I think that former Alderman Wright would make a wonderful addition to our Architectural Review Board, and I, like you, have got the obligation to consider those obligations throughout the term of our office, and we don't quit early because there is an uncontested election coming up in Town and Country. Further discussion. Alderman Bennegas.
Thank you, Mayor. And I know you are, and I'm willing to have whatever discussions necessary about the appropriateness of appointments like this one. I think Alderman Wright is appropriate for this position. I know that each administration has the right to appoint their own working committees on most of the commissions. And so she very well could be short-lived if that's the will of the next board, but she's willing to do that. And I think she's appropriate for this appointment.
Thank you. Further debate. Seeing none, all of the opinion that motion should prevail, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any to the contrary opinion, nay.
Nay.
The ayes appear to have it.
Can we have a roll call?
Yes.
Yes, you may. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Bennegas,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Nay.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Weezahan,
No.
Alderman Fauci,
Nay.
Alderman Mortland,
Aye.
and Alderman Whitmire.
Aye.
It carries 5-3.
Thank you. We are on the topic of communications and reports. Alderman Mortland.
Yes, just want to we have a fire and EMS task force meeting this Wednesday, March 10th at 9 a.m. on Zoom. The link can be found on the website. We're in the process, and just as everyone knows, we extended the fire and EMS contract 1 year. So we'll be needing to renew it or give our intent to renew by the end of this year to be able to handle that. So we're going through the service levels, response times, and then just going off of that. And we're going to have options and a lot more to show both the some of the commissions and then bringing it to everyone here on the Board of Aldermen. And right now we're not deciding or doing anything. We're just creating options and solutions and having a good discussion that we can take and eventually take to the public from that standpoint. The other item I had was Police, Fire, and EMS Commission will be meeting Tuesday, March 23rd at 4:30 p.m. on Zoom, and you can find that on the website too.
Thank you, Alderman Mortland and Alderman Allen, for your leadership on this. I would encourage you as co-chairs and your members of your task force to pay close attention to House Bill 1016 in the General Assembly. I think that has the potential of dramatically affecting the delivery of fire protection and emergency medical services to all of St. Louis County, most notably West County. Further reports. Alderman Holman.
I'm unmuted. Thank you, Mayor. The Public Works Commission met in February, and a lot of that work product is presented on the agenda this evening. Items 2 through 6 came out of our February meeting, and the next time our group will meet is in April. Thank you.
Thank you. Further reports. Alderman Hughes.
Thank you. The next meeting of the Community Art and Culture Commission is this Wednesday, the 10th at 6:30 via Zoom.
Thank you, ma'am. Further
Thank
reports. Alderman Whitmire.
Thank you, Mayor. The Conservation Commission met on March 1st, and as we had planned, we had someone from the Missouri Department of Conservation talking about coyotes. And I would encourage citizens to look at the first 30 minutes of our meeting and listen to that presentation. I thought it was quite informative and helpful. I thought I knew a lot about coyotes, and I learned even more. And then we also talked about the Green Thumb Award program for 2021 and the steps that we're taking to implement that. So we will be moving forward this year with that. That's it.
Thank you. You have a member on your commission, Alderman Whitmire, I believe. If she's not on there, she's been involved in the past, and that's Linda Robson. And she is, she does a terrific job for our community. I had the privilege of working with her in the community garden last year. And that program I gained appreciation for as a participant on it. And she is a very, very hardworking volunteer and a great contributor. And I hope she remains active with your commission.
I hope so as well.
Yeah, she's done a nice job in the community garden. It's a neat project. And Alderman Benegas, I think, remembers it well because it was started under his leadership. Further reports. For Alderman Fauci.
The Planning and Zoning Commission will be meeting next week on Wednesday, the 17th of March. And the item that was continued from our previous meeting, which is the total access urgent care at the corner of Ballas and Clayton, is on the agenda again.
Yeah, thank you, Alderman Fauci. And that is a project that has been gaining in attention throughout this community. The applicant has also made application for an additional location in Chesterfield, and both of those applications are moving along. And I would encourage you and all the members of the board to seek input from your constituents, because it is something that has garnered a fair amount of interest, not only because of the location, but also because of the business plan that's associated with that application. Further reports, Alderman Benegas.
Thank you, Mayor. In that regard, the Architecture Review Committee met last Monday, and total access urgent care was part of the agenda, and the commission approved the architecture review of that building with some changes, and we thought it was an appropriate design for that location.
Good, thank you. Further reports. Seeing none, we'll move on to unfinished business. Item number 1 on our agenda is Resolution R03, 2021. It was continued from the meeting of February 22nd. It's a resolution directing the city administrator to take the necessary steps to deliver an agreement for consideration by the Board of Independent Professional Audit Services. When this matter was continued, Alderman Hughes had the floor as the sponsor of an amendment dealing with its relationship to a petition effort that was ongoing by some citizens, and she is now recognized to proceed on her amendment.
I'm withdrawing my amendment at this point.
Thank you, ma'am. For that amendment's withdrawn. We are now on Resolution R03, 2021 as written. The floor is open. Alderman Fauci.
Mayor, I'm not exactly sure who would want to take this question, whether it's Mr. Shelton or Alderman Benegas. Looking at the be it resolved section 1, it's asking the city administrator to specifically go back to management partners and a contract or a bid that they put in, I guess it was in late 2018 or early 2019, and it's for $25,000. I'm wondering if, given the time that's passed, it would actually need to be a resolution to solicit bids. Is a bid still good this many years later? I mean, it seems like you would need to solicit new bids to figure out whether or not this was still A, valid as the lowest bid, and B, whether or not can we, I think $25,000 is beyond what we could do as a no bid situation. So it seems like this would need to be actually a resolution to solicit bids, not just for management partners. I think they said there were 6 earlier in the resolution under a whereas, but would it not need to basically mimic the resolution that former Alderman Matt Reuter brought to the board and passed unanimously, soliciting bids for a performance audit, as opposed to specifically selecting a company and a designated dollar amount years after that bid has been offered?
Well, Alderman,
And I don't know the answer.
Well, I do. It's a
Okay,
very
good.
it's a very good question. It's one that I had when I read this resolution the first time and reread it in preparing for this evening. It's still on my mind. But the answer to your question is the resolution says what it says. So it can be amended to say anything the board would like it to say. But your interests or your inquiry is the same as mine, is that do we want to limit ourselves to management partners, and do we want to limit ourselves to any particular dollar amount? And in my opinion, the resolution's a good one in that all it is doing is it's asking the city, like Alderman Reuter proposed back then, and like this resolution, I believe, is intending to propose, and that is to go get a proposal from a third-party independent provider of these services and bring it back to the board for its consideration. And it says it's tied to management partners, and it says it's tied to 25,000, but it does not need to say that.
Okay, so that, sorry, can I finish? So I guess my question then is where it says develop an agreement with management partners as opposed to solicit a new bid from management partners. I guess I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, again, ma'am, it says what it says. The question is, should it say that, or should it say to go solicit bids or requests for qualifications or whatever the board's desire is to seek these services on a professional contractual third-party basis as compared to the bureaucratic political process through which works through the auditor's office. Alderman Benegas, do you have some feeling on that subject? Yes, sir.
Maybe a question for council, if you'd allow it, Mayor, in that, so if management partners came back with the same bid they had in 2019 of $23,050, could we act on that bid without putting it back out to competitive bid? So that'd be a question for council.
Well, the answer is number one, probably, I don't know if there's any time frame on bids. However, my recollection is our ordinance says that we don't have to bid out professional services. So that's an exception.
Thank you, council.
Okay,
Further
thank you.
discussion?
So Mayor,
Yes, please proceed.
Mayor, if I might.
That doesn't mean that you should. I'm just saying that we have an ordinance that says that. Whether you want to bid it out is your business, obviously.
Alderman Benegas has the floor.
So Mayor, the bid that we got from management partners was significantly lower than others. Their resume is impeccable to the point of being almost unbelievable. So I'm open to proceeding either way. If we want to amend it to put it out to competitive bid at this point, I'm okay with that. I think we have someone that can clearly do the job, gave us the lowest and competitive bid previously. So I'm okay either way.
Further debate, Alderman Robson.
Not so much debate, just as a question, but Mr. Shelton, have you reached out to management partners at all since I'd kind of like to hear what you have learned.
I have, and they are prepared to proceed based on the terms that they had with their prior proposal Alderman Benegas is correct. When we analyzed the proposals previously, they were by far the most qualified who had submitted for these professional services.
Thank you, sir. Further inquiry, Alderman Mortland.
So, and I just want to be, just make sure I'm reading it clear and everything else. This is just for Mr. Shelton to go get an updated bid and bring it back to us.
That's correct, sir. Yes, sir.
So we're not executing, we're not agreeing or anything else without another vote.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Alderman Weezahan.
Thank you, Mayor. I was curious, I'd like to ask Alderman Benegas on what, if there were any findings or how it was identified for the specific projects that are listed under section 1.
Recall that this isn't a debate. We direct inquiries through the chair. I don't need to play traffic cop, but it is a procedure that we've adopted. Alderman Benegas, do you have a response to Alderman Weezahan's inquiry regarding the process associated with management partners?
I don't think I understand the question, Mayor.
Alderman Weezahan, can you be more specific, please?
In section 1, it lists specifically for the services to include, but not limited to, Town Square, Mason Road Trail, and Ballas and Clayton intersection. And I was just curious how those were identified as reasons to audit those in specific.
Well, I think that's pretty obvious. But Alderman Benegas, do you care to respond?
Well, it seems obvious to me too, Mayor. Those are the items that concerns have been expressed about explicitly over and over and over. I think they were expressed back when the initial request for proposal was put out back in late 2018, early 2019. So I think those are the items of biggest concern to the community right now. So that's why they were listed.
Then I guess I would ask, how did it come about to pursue this, 2 to 3 years later, and without any pursuit in the meantime?
Well, let's be clear. Come on, stop playing around here. This is I believe, a response to some, albeit a minority, of interest regarding particular projects that haven't gone as in the minds of some individuals they should have gone. That does not make them right. But I believe this is an attempt to say, hey, wait a second. Rather than spend $100,000, $120,000, $130,000 on a bureaucratic political process by engaging the state auditor, let's do what we were going to do when there was expressions of concern. Again, not indicating that they were right or wrong, but expressions of concern regarding the Public Works Department. And let's engage a third-party consultant to say, is there something we're missing? Because I stand by our professional staff's handling of these projects. I stand by the unanimous or near unanimous vote of the Board of Aldermen at every step of the way regarding these projects. I'm very comfortable with an audit because I believe in the staff and the public officials that support these programs. But if it helps people to have a third party look at these projects and tell us, yeah, you could have done something differently, I can look at this with hindsight and give you advice, and it could better the town and country process of reviewing and approving and advancing these projects, then I'm for it. And I think that is what identified these particular locations in response to people's concerns that there may be ways in which we could have handled it better. I like the way it was handled. I'm proud of the results that we achieved. I applaud the decisions we made to abandon the project at Ballas and Clayton because it was heading in a direction of financial disaster. I think we still ultimately are going to provide a value proposition to the residents in getting from the Clayton Road Trail to Queenie Park, an element that's been part of our master plan for as long as I'm familiar with that plan. It's a value proposition, but it didn't go the way we had hoped. But if there's a way we could have done things better, let's learn from that experience and do it better going forward. But it doesn't mean we need to petition at our expense a bureaucratic political office into the city to tell us that. We can do it by our own initiative, and I believe, for one, that is what's behind. That's the spirit of this resolution and why I support it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The reason I was asking was we previously had a resolution that was in opposition to a different audit. There was much conversation that the audit was not needed, and this resolution is identifying that there is a need for an audit. So I was trying to get an understanding of the difference between the two of as far as the needs for the city go and what we're trying to identify.
Now, I think this is an element of process as compared to substance. Alderman Bennegus is seeking recognition.
Thank you, Mayor. If I might remind the board that the author of the initial request for proposal, once a proposal was received and was put on the agenda for vote, the author of the request for proposal voted against moving forward. So at that point, there was very good reason to not move forward. The author of the proposal saw that and literally voted against his own motion. So I just want to remind the board of that.
Thank you, Alderman Fauci.
I just want to, having also been in attendance at that meeting and voted on that resolution, state that the author of that resolution pleaded passionately with the board for a continuance. The discussion that took place was regarding the fact that after the first resolution passed, looking for bids for that audit and those services, our public works director resigned his position, and it was decided by a number of board members that they did not want to proceed when the time came to appropriate funds for that audit until a new public works director was brought on staff. The author of that resolution pleaded for a continuance, and it was a 5-3 vote for a continuance, it was a 5-3 vote against a continuance. The author of that resolution did not want to abandon it, but instead continue it until the new person was hired. Seeing that it was futile, he gave up and voted no. But it isn't fair to state that he abandoned his resolution and that he didn't believe in that audit. And I think that he's made his point very clear on that. So while he is not here to speak, I will speak on his behalf, having read his letter to this board, which all of you also received previously. But it is not fair to say that he was against that resolution.
Okay, well,
it's just not fair to say that.
well, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to that opinion.
It's also his.
We're not going to. What we don't need to do is continue to debate a unrelated proposal to engage auditing services because the minutes of our actions speak for themselves. And we now have a resolution before the body that is built basically on that same philosophy. And that is whether you agree like I do and support our professional staff and the Board of Aldermen, the various boards of Aldermen that approved these transactions or you don't is really irrelevant. The question before the body is, do you wish to engage professional services that can analyze those past actions and offer us advice? And that's the matter before us this evening for the debate. Alderman Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to speak for the resolution. I believe that I do have a partiality always for a private company, private professional services to act where they are experts in a field. I think that possibly the city in any service, I think there's most likely always room for improvement. The potential petition audit, it could be a while. I mean, I believe people have until October to finish those signatures. And I think that, for the most part, time is money. And so if we were to be able to get a sense of how we best operate on projects, I think that there's not a negative with that. I think most people, certainly that I've heard from, certainly with the Ways and Means, members of the Ways and Means Commission, big concern has been the exorbitant price of, up to 120,000 plus, and it didn't just stop at 130. The potential was significant, and we don't know how long it would take to be in the queue for that more expensive audit to happen, which would have been the desire of 750 people if the signatures are there. So I've certainly heard from many of the commissioners on Ways and Means and others that, we can act most prudently with our resources. So I would be for this.
Alderman Allen, you know who I've heard from? You know who I've heard from?
No, who would that be?
You know what, ma'am, I'm gonna tell you who I've heard from. I've heard from people who are ecstatic, who are thrilled, who are asking for a permanent reservation at Town Square and the Del Pietro Delsing wine bar and restaurant with a dried aging room associated. When they would like a reserved seat on the patio overlooking the babbling brook in the center of our community. That's who I've heard from. No one calls me asking to audit past decisions of the professional staff or the Board of Aldermen in bringing that community asset forward. That's who I've heard from. I've heard from people that believe that it is a blessing and a fortune to live in this community. Not those that are looking backwards saying, shame on you. What the heck were you thinking? How could you imagine putting that proposal forward? I've been hearing from people that have thanked me and others that serve this community for their labor of love and their commitment to success on this project and others like it. That love the fact that we'll ultimately someday get to Queenie Park, that are glad we didn't approve a Tim Hortons and a Reliance Bank proposal at the intersection of Ballas and Clayton, because that was the wrong project at the wrong time. You can ask the city of Frontenac that, who is now got a excess capacity with respect to their Tim Hortons, and all due respect to you, Mr. Shelton. Their capacity at Lindbergh and Clayton. So those are the people I'm hearing from. And I think we need to get on with the business of continuing to serve this community in the best way we can, like we've done in the past and like we will continue to do in the future, and not continue to squabble over success. Because there are other communities in this region that don't enjoy our level of success and wish they did. Further debate. Alderman Holman.
I have a question. I think it's appropriate to direct it to our city administrator. I'm wondering the anticipated cost for the development of the agreement to the city. Is there a cost involved with that? Asking for this company to run numbers and present a proposal?
No, there's no cost. That would be any.
So it costs $0.00 to look at an agreement that the board can all then put their eyes on that and make a decision at that point in time to proceed forward or not.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Staff time, naturally, Alderman Holman, but your inquiry is a good one. Further debate. All of the opinion, the motion should prevail. Please signify by saying aye.
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 Those of the contrary opinion, nay.
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 Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Benegus,
Aye.
Alderman Mortland,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Whitmire,
Nay.
Alderman Weasahan,
Nay.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
and Alderman Fauci.
Nay.
It carries 5-3.
Thank you. We are now on item number 2. It's Bill 21-11 by Alderman, sponsored by Alderman Holman. Without objection, will our city clerk please read that bill for the second time?
Bill number 2111 is an ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with Sweetens Concrete Services for the 2021 crack sealing program.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Alderman
moved.
Holman moves approval. Is that gaining
Second.
second? Alderman Mortland seconds the motion. Discussion. Alderman Whitmire.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank the city administrator for providing a list of sites that are associated with this contract. And if those sites that list of sites are not a part of this record, I would like them to be a part of the record.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate your diligence in working with our city administrator in advance of the meeting and gaining that insight. Mr. Sheldon, you'll provide that information?
Yes, we will.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Whitmire,
Aye.
Alderman Fauci,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Mortland,
Aye.
Alderman Weasahan,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
and Alderman Benegus.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4425.
Thank you. We're on item number 3. It's Bill 21-12. It's sponsored by the board as a whole. Without objection, will our city clerk please read that bill for the second time?
Bill number 2112 is an ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with A. Eilers Construction for the Police Department renovations project.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Chief Caven's renovation project.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Alderman Mortland, seconded by, I'm sorry, seconded by Alderman Allen. Discussion. Alderman Whitmire.
Again, Mayor, I'd like to thank the city administrator for providing additional information around this proposal that's now been built into the memo. So I really appreciate that. I would like to ask him, if we could, to talk about the major risks that remain within this project. In other words, things that are not known that could turn the wrong way on us.
Mr. Sheldon.
Mayor, members of the board, I do again appreciate Alderman Whitmire presenting this question and checking with Mr. Randick and others. The only real risk we would foresee would be the potential of mold, which has been discovered previously. However, with the contingency amount, we believe that that would be covered if there is any need for the remediation.
Thank you. Does that satisfy your inquiry, Alderman Whitmire?
Yes, thank you.
Alderman Moreland?
Yes, I'd just like to, from a transparency standpoint, say that this project was put on hold in 2020 and has been, brought forward in 2021. It was discussed at the police, fire, and EMS and approved and recommended to move forward at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. And everyone knows I like to have fun with our outstanding police chief, but that's right. This has been put on hold. This is long overdue, and it is it's a good project that's worthy of your support. Alderman Whitmire.
So Mayor, one other thing I would like to, given that we are spending money in a difficult time right now, it's a very important thing to do. But I would like to, if we could, ask the chief to talk a little bit about some of the benefits from this project. What does it really mean for his staff? What does it really mean in terms of, their efficiency, their health, and so forth? Just elaborate a little bit more on that for us. Is that okay?
Chief, you're recognized to respond, please.
Sorry about that, Mayor. Thank you, Alderman Whitmire and Mayor. Currently, as everyone knows, the state, the appearance, the condition of the police department side of the municipal center is over 25 years old. It is absolutely overdue for a facelift, remodel, renovation, whatever title you would like to adhere to this project. It's not, as you come into our side of the building, it's not bright. It's not professionally, doesn't have a professional, welcoming appearance, and all of the furniture within all of the offices on the main level on the PD side, they're no longer practical or efficient. And again, they're not welcoming to having citizens, elected officials, other law enforcement agencies come into our building and see the condition of the furniture, et cetera. Should you pass this project, should you pass this resolution, the brighter, the more welcoming, the more professional a law enforcement structure itself looks, the more ownership the officers and the personnel take in the manner, the pride, the morale increases, and the overall efficiency and proficiency will increase as well.
Thank you, Chief. Well said, and I would echo all of your statements and emphasize your work with other agencies and the fact that they're coming into Town and Country. We should reflect them the same way we see ourselves, and that is a pretty special place.
Thank you.
I well said. Further inquiry. Alderman Allen.
Thank you. I would just like to speak in support of this project. I have visited the chief and others more than once, and I think we should always strive for optional functionality, get that one out. And certainly the chairs are ergonomically comfort. Our police department has very different needs and expectations than a normal business office. And I know there are drawers that haven't worked and locks, and there's this is something that needs to be done. It's always hard to spend a lot of money, but this has, in my opinion, this would be a priority.
Thank you. It's time. Further comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Moreland,
Aye.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Weaverhand,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Fauci,
Aye.
Alderman Bennegus,
Aye.
Alderman Whitmire,
Aye.
and Alderman Allen.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4426.
Thank you. We're on item number 4. It's the approval of a purchase order. It's associated with the project you just approved. It was continued from our meeting of February 22nd. It's to Bradford Systems for office furniture in the amount of $88,401.94. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Alderman Allen moves approval, seconded by Alderman Holman. Discussion. Seeing Alderman Whitmire.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I would like, since we didn't directly bid these things out, I would like to ask the city administrator to talk us through how we know these are low bidders because of another vehicle that we follow.
Yep, good inquiry. Mr. Shelton.
Mayor, if it's okay with you, I'd like to defer this to Mr. Randick. He has been involved from the start. So Mr. Randick, if you don't mind, please.
Sir, would you please address the Alderman's question?
Sure, absolutely. We've selected Bradford Systems for the past few years. They utilize the state procurement bidding process, which the city takes advantage of for multiple different venues through police and furniture acquisitions.
Is it that procurement process that gave you the confidence that this was the low bid?
That's correct. They do state bidding, so it has certain vendors that can provide you the options of furniture that you want to use, and Bradford Systems is one of those vendors.
Alderman Whitmire, is that satisfactory?
I believe so. So that if I may follow up with a question.
Please.
So they are preferred vendors. Do they also provide price lists, and are those price lists pre-negotiated through the state, and as a result we take advantage of those price lists?
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm satisfied, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Very good inquiry. Further discussion regarding the purchase order. Seeing none, all the opinion that motion should prevail, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any of the contrary opinion, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. We're on item number 5. It's the approval of a purchase order, also continued from our meeting of February 22nd. It's to Bradford Systems, dealing with shelving and gun lockers in the amount of $6,845.43. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved.
Alderman Whitmire moves approval. Does it gain a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Fauci. Discussion. Seeing none, all the opinion that motion should prevail, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary opinion, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 6 on our agenda is the approval of a purchase order. It too was continued from our meeting of February 22nd. It's a purchase order to Bradford Systems for office chairs in the amount of $3,891.58. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Alderman Holman moves approval. Does it gain a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Hughes. Discussion. Seeing none, all of the opinion that motion should prevail, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any of the contrary opinion, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. We're on the topic of new business. Chief, thank you to you and your team, Mr. Randick, Mr. Shelton, everyone that's worked on this project. You have been patient. It has been needed for a long time, and we just haven't been in a position where that could rise to the top of our level of priorities, but it is going forward now, and we appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, everyone, for your support.
We're on new business. It's number 7 on our agenda. It's resolution number R04/2021. It's a resolution of the Board of Aldermen waiving the fee on certain liquor license renewals for the 2021 permit period. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Alderman
Second.
Weasley, approval. Does that gain a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Fauci. Discussion. Seeing none, all the opinion that motion should prevail, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary opinion, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 8 on our agenda is the warrant list. It's in the amount of $537,868.13. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Alderman Allen moves approval. Does it gain a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Moreland. Discussion. Alderman Fauci.
So I have a couple quick questions. Sorry, I was going to ask them during the work session, but we ran out of time. On page, it's page 7 out of 10 of the warrant list. And it's down at the bottom, and it's just I was doing a little math this afternoon. So it says for 32 car washes, we paid $192, which my math comes out to $6 a car wash. And then a couple vendors above that, it says we bought 50 car wash coupons for $850, which is $17 a car wash. So I was just wondering about the difference in our $6 and $17 car washes and whether or not the coupons are worth the $11 extra that we're paying for whatever I don't know what we're getting for the $11. So I was just curious about the differences in costs of those two car wash items. It's vendor 9059 and vendor 3943. Sorry, that print is tiny on here. I don't know if Pam Wright has any information on that or why we're buying coupons.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Mr. Shelton and see if he wants to triage this out to somebody on the
Immediately
staff, or if he can
Chief
handle it.
Cavins, if you don't mind.
Yes. The difference, Alderman Fauci, between the two is we go to 2 car washes. One is at the service point, which is just a quick exterior wash. The other one is, now I've lost the name of it, right across the street.
Waterway.
Waterway. Yes,
Waterway.
thank you. Whoever said that. Waterway. That's a full service, so that we can get the interiors cleaned, interior vacuumed for special occasions. The last time that the department bought those coupons was I think 2018, 2020 time period. And to get the discounted rate that they give us, we had to buy them in bulk. So those will last us. Those coupons will last us 3, 4, 5 years, depending upon the circumstances.
Thank you. That
You're welcome.
definitely answered the question, but it did seem like a big difference in price.
Thank you.
No, it is, but they last much longer.
Further debate. Alderman Whitmire.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call on the city administrator to talk to us a little bit about the employee benefits that are paid for in here and what we're doing there to further negotiate our price for those things.
Mr. Shelton.
Thank you. So starting off with health, I think most of you are aware, we're part of a self-insured pool. It's a trust with other professionally managed cities. The experience on this health insurance program has been just nothing but phenomenal. Our highest increase has been 2%, which is much less than what's on the open market. We are not paying out profit to the insurance company. So the health is basically a self-insured pool. And then all of our other lines are bid by a broker. We utilize the broker that has the Slate program, which is currently Daniel and Henry, to bid out life insurance, accidental death, vision, all those lines. So they're bid on a regular basis.
Thank you. Good inquiry. Further debate. Alderman Allen.
Thank you. I would also like Mr. Shelton to speak on the sewer costs. I know over the past, there was work clarifying the actual costs. Can you give us an update on that?
Are you talking about MSD at Town Square?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Right, currently they still are monitoring those numbers. The usage has gone down, but that will be reflected after they have a full year to track it.
And when will that?
Based on water usage.
Okay. And could you also, so for our snow costs at this point, we're this last amount, does that take us up to all the snow we've had so far?
Yes, and we will not have any more snow.
I want to count on that.
Are you a weatherman now?
I
It's
noted that for
other
the
duties as assigned, a weatherman.
Alderman Fauci is next seeking recognition, then Alderman Hughes.
So I think probably this goes to Mr. Shelton, but I'm not certain. On the first page of the warrant list under vendor 10440, another wild goose chase. I see that we've spent another $1,350 on a dog to chase geese out of town square. And I'm just wondering if now is really the time for us to be spending $1,350 on a dog to chase geese out of town square. It just seems like that's an unnecessary expenditure.
I'll let Ms. Nixon jump in, but my experience has been that if we're not keeping those geese away, they will continue and procreate, and we'll have more and more geese. And the danger of those goose droppings all over those trails is an absolute disaster. It's a mess, and I think it's a danger for a slip, trip, and fall.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. Ms. Nixon, you're recognized.
And then also that bill is a bill that we did not receive from the company. So it was something that was should have been received in 2020 and it was not. So it was from previous work that they had performed. It's not happening during the winter time right now.
Well, Ms. Nixon, that's I appreciate your additional information. Have you, I'm assuming, done your due diligence into that bill, confirmed that those services were run, and addressed the fact that we don't like to pay bills a year after for services previously? So I suspect you've had a good conversation with that vendor. You're welcome to respond.
Yes, I have had that conversation.
Thank you. That's not how we do business, and I know you know that. So thank you for taking that up for us. You have a follow-up, Alderman Fauci?
I do. So on the warrant list, it says that the services were from November 2nd to December 6th, 2020, and then from January 4th to January 31st of 2021. So are those dates of service incorrect?
Ms. Nixon?
I don't believe it should say January at all on that bill. I don't have the bill itself in front of me, and I don't do the data entry on the warrant list entries, but it was a 2020 bill.
Do you have a sense whether those were the last quarter of 2020? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so that it's not far off. It's not accurate in some respects. You've addressed that with the vendor, but that it's not from a time period that's completely foreign.
It does look like it's two separate bills with two separate amounts.
So I can look into the data entry and just make sure that the invoice matches what we have recorded there.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Alderman Hughes.
I'm looking on page 1 for dog waste bags, and that's $449.50. Perhaps we could find a sponsor for that in the future. Perhaps someone who is a dog lover would be interested in sponsoring all of those.
You know such a person, Alderman Hughes?
I think I've got somebody in mind.
I suspected you did.
So we don't have to buy them anymore. This anonymous donor might be able to do it for you.
Very welcome, and I appreciate your direct connection with Ms. Nixon. Thank you. Good suggestion. Further discussion? Seeing none, all the opinion that motion should prevail, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any of the contrary opinion, nay? The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Mortland moves adjournment, seconded by Alderman Benegus. All in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Good discussion tonight, everybody. Thank you for your participation.